Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast, brought to you by DirecTV, 1-800-259-7646. Also brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you're buying an RV or selling an RV, check out RVRealtor.com and the Dollar Shave Club. Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Hey, I'm super. Did you have a nice birthday weekend?
I did. It was nice. It was really good. We had a nice Thanksgiving weekend, Black Friday weekend, Shop Small Saturday weekend. Today's Cyber Monday. Got a lot of stuff going on. Later in the program, I'm going to talk to Jasen McDaniel, what to do when you need a lawyer. I'm excited to chat with him because this is good news, good stuff to know. And did you know my favorite psychologist in the world is now David Lewis? You know why?
Why?
He's a British researcher that says he did the study to find out that shopping is bad for a man's health. Now I have a new reason to not go shopping.
Yeah, you do.
Male stress levels skyrocket when faced with crowded stores, choosing gifts, and standing in checkout lines. Psychologist David Lewis did the study and found that your heart rate and blood pressure on men who are shopping resembles a fighter pilot going into combat, a policeman going into a dangerous situation, or I don't know what else, but people going into bad situations. So, men, if you don't want to go shopping, just be sure to share that research. Mm-hmm. And, of course, your wife wouldn't make you do that, right?
Right.
All right. Coming up, we're going to find out what's going on today. There's a lot of super-duper things happening, and we'll tell you what they are in a bit.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Get razors for $1 a month plus a few bucks shipping, so you can enjoy fresh razors every month for as little as $3. Learn more at dollarshaveclub.com/radio.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Well, I thought you'd never ask. It's Monday, November the 30th. Today's the last day of November. There is November 31. Doesn't happen. So it's the last day of November. And today is Cyber Monday, but it's also Cider Monday. Don't get those two confused. You can drink your cider today. Today's the day to do that, but don't drink cyber, whatever that is. Computer Security Day as well. Today is one of the days, it's one of the most computer fraudulent days on the calendar because people are buying stuff online. Be really careful when you're doing that. National Meth Awareness Day today, so be aware of meth as well. I'm not exactly sure why that needed a day, but and Stay Home Because You're Well Day is today. So it's a good day to just call in well. Say, I had a nice long weekend. It's going to be one day longer. I'm not going to be there today. So
I am not coming
thank you for the opportunity to work with you, but I won't be there today. All right, get out there and celebrate one way or another. I'm gonna celebrate Cider Monday. I'm going to drink some apple cider. That's good stuff. This time of year, I like to warm that up, put a little cinnamon in there, sit by the fire. Too bad we don't have a fireplace.
I've never seen you do any of those things.
No, but I'm going to do that. This Monday, November the 30th.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you want to buy or sell an RV, go to RVRealtor.com. List your RV for free. Learn more at RVRealtor.com.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. A bird has been arrested for spying. Yeah, I said it right. A bird. According to the BBC, a bird carrying a satellite tracking device has been arrested on suspicion of spying. The South African stork, his name is Saturn, was detained after a crash landing in Burundi. The bird was part of a University of Cape Town study monitoring the migration patterns of birds. Villagers in the area where Saturn landed were suspicious of the strange device that was strapped to his back. They handed him over to police. An email was then sent to Professor Les Underhill of the Cape Town University because his address was found on the device. They said, your bird has been taken into custody on suspicion of spying.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
So they thought the bird was spying on them. So the reason that he was attached to a monitoring device was to monitor the migration patterns of birds. Had nothing to do with spying of any kind.
Well, what would you want to spy on them for anyway?
I have no clue.
What do they think he was looking for?
I'm not really sure.
Although, if you were looking to spy on somebody and that was your cover story, I mean...
Yeah.
So, yeah, you have to be careful, I guess. Whatever.
So anybody that wanted to spy on Burundi, I had to figure out how to say that. I've never even heard of it before. Have you heard of Burundi?
I have not.
I'm not exactly sure that this is a place that's going to be spied on a lot. But anyway, they were afraid that they were being spied on by a South African stork. And it turns out they were not. Coming your way here in a bit, speaking of interesting things, we've got a guest. Jasen McDaniel is going to join us, and we're going to be talking about what to do when you need a lawyer. That is on the way here in just a bit on the John and Heidi Show. And you know this spying bird story is true because you heard it on the radio.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again?
844-204-1055.
And this is your brain on drugs. After being arrested for drunk driving, a mother couldn't find a sober family member to take her baby home so the cops could take her to jail. This happened in Indiana. A mother was arrested for drunk driving. 3 relatives who came to pick up a 1-year-old, they've also been drinking. A state trooper stopped a minivan for speeding early Saturday, and he arrested the 24-year-old woman on a drunk driving charge. The boy's father arrived later to pick him up. Officers determined he was also drunk.
Oh, my gosh.
They called the grandparents. They arrived. Guess what? They were both drunk. State police said the grandmother was not even driving. She wasn't over the legal limit, so officers escorted her home with the child. She was in the passenger seat.
This is what would happen if one of our kids needed to ride.
No, not me. You've been trying to get me hooked on wine. I just can't do it. It's not my thing. I don't know.
But if it was like Taylor was stranded somewhere, or, Troy, he needed help, and they call me, I'm too drunk, they have to call my dad. My dad's drunk, they have to call my mom.
Yeah. Let's just hope that they call me, because I'll be sober. But that is what happens when your brain is on drugs.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center. Addiction is no laughing matter. Call Keystone Treatment Center toll-free at 1-844-204-1055.
Now, your moment of duh. Saving money on travel expenses ends up as a parental moment of duh. A couple in Russia who tried to avoid buying a train ticket for their daughter, they thought, hey, I got an idea. Let's put her in a suitcase. Well, they were found out when the case was stolen. Luckily, the 3-year-old girl was found on a Moscow street after the crooks let her out.
Oh, my gosh.
But they did keep the suitcase. So they're like, hey, we're going to save a couple of bucks on a train ticket. We're going to just put our daughter in a suitcase.
Could you imagine doing that to your child?
3-year-old daughter. She got to ride in a suitcase.
Wow.
What do you say to a kid before you lock him in a suitcase?
Exactly.
Hey, we're going to save a couple of bucks. Now just be quiet inside.
I know our 14-year-old doesn't cooperate with that crap at all.
No, there's no way. If we tried to jam her
every
in a
time we try to
suitcase,
put her in a suitcase, she throws a fit, threatens to call the authorities.
Put me back in the trunk again, just so we can get into the drive-in theater a little cheaper. No, we've never done that. Although that would be fun to try. Coming up, we have your scoop of the day on this Monday. It's coming up in a bit.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now, your scoop of the day. Authorities in St. Petersburg, Florida say an 18-year-old man drove a stolen car to police headquarters to pick up court papers about a previous auto theft that he was involved in. If you didn't catch that, he drove a stolen car there.
Stolen car.
Yeah, Carnell Eugene Butler now faces charges
again
for another stolen car. His third, by the way.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of cars, Toyota plans to have a fleet of driverless cars in operation 5 years from now. So just imagine you could actually get in your car, type in the GPS of where you want to go, and it'll drive you there with nobody at the wheel.
So if these cars are infallible and don't make mistakes, do you need car insurance anymore?
I'm sure you do, because there are other drivers on the road that are
right, but they
not
should have
computers.
to, if they cause the accident,
I don't know how that
their
works.
insurance should cover your vehicle, correct?
No clue. I have not looked that far into the future.
I'm going to check into that.
Yeah. Are you going to get a driverless car?
I would if I don't have to have insurance.
You would, as long as you don't have to park it. You'd get one of those.
Oh, yeah. If it'll
She'll drive around the block 8 times to be able to pull in nose first rather than parallel park a car.
I will not parallel park. I hate it. It makes me so nervous.
Yeah. Well, President Obama is getting on board of the standing desk bandwagon. Executive Office estimates that they will spend about $700,000 for height-adjustable standing
that's
desktops
awesome,
and
because
accessories.
we've got so much extra money right now in the budget. We should really be looking at replacing all the desks that are perfectly fine.
Well, they should replace them as they need to replace them.
It's
but
ridiculous.
We have a stand-up desk here. What are we doing right now, though?
We're sitting
on tall stools.
on height-adjustable stools.
Yes, it was the thought that counts. All right. Pageant judges crowned the winner of Zimbabwe's 4th annual, are you ready for this? Mr. Ugly contest.
Oh, I wouldn't want that.
Some in the crowd complained that the winner was just too darn handsome that prompted a riot after the event. So they say Mr. Ugly wasn't Mr. Ugly enough, apparently. So there you go. Hey, Heidi, how much does a polar bear weigh?
Enough to break the ice.
Just enough to break the ice. That's a funny little joke that I heard on a movie. I still think that's funny. But if you do know how much a polar bear weighs, one of the things that you want to do is steer clear of eating that polar bear's liver. You know why?
Why?
It'll kill you.
Why?
If a human eats a polar bear liver, you will die because it has too much vitamin A. It will actually kill you.
Oh.
So if you're having polar bear for breakfast or lunch or dinner, just make sure you don't eat the liver.
Do they eat polar bear?
I have no clue. I know. I've never had polar bear.
Can you eat brown bear? Like if you shoot a bear, do people eat those
Can we talk
animals?
about this? I don't know. I just kind of feel like it's going to...
I'm just saying, if you're hunting and you shoot a bear, because I've seen bear rugs and stuff.
Yeah,
do they eat that meat?
I'm assuming they do. I've never had it, but I just don't feel right talking about eating bears or anything like that.
It's a legitimate hunting question. It's a
Look at me.
legitimate question.
Who do I look like? Grizzly Adams? I have no clue. All right. A recent study finds that multitasking is not a good thing. According to researchers from Stanford University, they say that hurts your overall productivity, and it also affects your ability to recall info, and it slows you down. Additional research shows that it even will lower your IQ if you multitask too much. Relevant Magazine says a team of researchers looked at MRI scans of people who spend a lot of time doing multitasking, things like texting while watching a TV show. They found they had a lower brain density. So there you go. You're getting denser and denser just by doing it. I think that's what that means. Hey, the average claim paid out to people who catch their homes on fire while deep-fat frying turkeys last week for Thanksgiving. How much do you think it is?
How much?
$29,000. That's one expensive Thanksgiving dinner. They, every year, have a huge increase, like 3 times more home fires on Thanksgiving because of people catching their home on fire.
The bird has to be completely thawed.
Yeah.
You cannot put a frozen turkey.
No. Or anything into a deep-fat fryer. You can't do that. All right, teens are texting more than ever. A report from Pew Internet American Life Project revealed the amount of texts sent and received each day among teens has jumped in the last few years. Teens, on average, send how many texts every day, Heidi?
Oh, hundreds.
60 is the answer.
I bet our daughter
is way above average. She's helping bring that number up.
Yeah.
All right, get a strange law for you. In Israel, it is forbidden to bring bears to the beach.
I would assume.
I don't know why that is.
I would assume that would kind of be a rule everywhere.
It should be. It's even if it's not the law, you might want to just obey that one no matter what. Don't bring the bear to the beach. It's going to do it for your strange law. This has been your Scoop of the Day.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RoughToughKennels.com. Dog kennels and accessories sent to your front door wherever you live. Your dog deserves it. Learn more at RoughToughKennels.com.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We appreciate you tuning in today. We got a special guest that we're going to be talking about what to do when you need a lawyer, navigating the best route to legal advice. And we've got an expert in the biz, Jasen McDaniel, joining us right now. How are you doing, sir?
How are you, John? Thanks for having me.
Well, we're glad to have you. And you're the executive director at Jeffers, Danielson, Son, and Alward. Did I say all of that right?
You did. Very, very nice work.
And it's cool, you know, when it's usually when you have a bunch of names in a row like that, you know that it's either an accounting firm or attorneys, one or the other. That's kind of the only two where you have the big long list. So now, how long have you been an attorney?
So I am not an attorney.
Oh.
I am actually a business executive. You know,
Nice.
the business of law is becoming more difficult. It's evolving. And so lawyers lawyer very well. They know the law, and when it comes to the business side and kind of helping strategically understand how the client is evolving, how the business is evolving, that's what my job is to do. So I've got multi-years of postgraduate, but no Juris Doctorate.
Well, you know what? That's not such a bad thing, because it's good that you've got the business side of things done, and you got a good team of attorneys that can do their attorney side of things. Now, what is it typically that when somebody's coming to you, what is the reason that they typically need an attorney? I'm assuming there's probably a variety of reasons.
There is, John. You know, it's interesting as the world becomes more, knowledge becomes more commoditized. I use the example all the time that we have 3 small children, and my wife self-diagnoses them all on MedMD probably multiple times a month, and at one time or another, they've all had the bubonic plague. And the law is no dissimilar to that, where folks are having access to greater levels of information. The challenge is that interpreting that information and truly understanding what seems like a really simplistic issue can turn into something that's got multiple curves and a rabbit hole. And so really when what we try to strive at Jeffers Danielson in particular, and what all people should be looking at, is a relationship-based situation where no dissimilar to a doctor or to a dentist or to someone that you regularly practice like an accountant, a lawyer should be someone that's not necessarily looked at in the time of need when you receive an envelope in the mail that requires your urgency, but it really should be looked at as kind of a traveling through life individual who can provide guidance, assess risk, and be there for those moments when you have a child and need to create a will, or when you have circumstances that you're fortunate enough to create a business. Whatever life throws at you, it's good to have someone who you significantly trust, and that's really the message underlining in, you know, how to really go after and find a great lawyer.
Now, with the advent of all the technology that surrounds us, you were talking about, you know, your wife going onto a website to diagnose what's wrong with the kids. I'm assuming with the internet, people can go on and Google anything, and they can search whatever they want to search. I'm assuming there are probably people who come to an attorney, whether it's your firm or other firms, they come in with a preconceived notion of what they think is right and wrong, or what they think is something that they need an attorney for, or maybe they saw it on Law and Order. But, you know, that's sometimes, you know, the sensationalized things you see on television kind of skew people's idea of what really happens. So how many times is it that when people come in, they have a completely different idea of the way this should be, and it's just sensationalized from television? It
happens, right? I mean, there are two sides to the law. There's the transactional side, which is the I walk in and I need X, Y, Z to be accomplished, and then there is the litigation side, which says that you have to go through a series of processes, and when you talk about sensationalism, that's really where most of television is at, you know, in these long, drawn-out court hearings that last forever. And it's a very small percentage of claims, depending on our practice, other practices may be different, that really ever make it to a trial situation. Most people today are, by the time they've exhausted themselves over, you know, multi-months or multi-years, the last thing they want to do is, you know, put additional cash into a very expensive process. And sometimes what may be very black and white can be still interpreted differently in the courtroom, and so people have to assess that risk and then make a decision of what's best for them and why they're doing it.
This is an opportunity for people to kind of get an idea of maybe when they need an attorney as well. We're talking with Jasen McDaniel, and he's the executive director of Jeffers, Danielson, Son, and Alward Law Firm. And you guys are located in Washington, but locally, you know, everybody that's listening right now, there's probably a local attorney in their neighborhood. How do we know which attorney is the attorney for us? There are big law firms, and then there's just like, you know, the solo practitioner is just a single guy in an office, or maybe even a single lady in an office. But how do we know when you're picking an attorney? That sounds like a daunting task. How do you know which one's the right one for you?
Yeah, thanks for that question, John. Every person has their own unique scenario, and I would caution anyone to look at the expense side as being the first kind of catalyst of whether or not to discount the attorney. Often we go in and, you know, attorneys have varying rates. They're all based on experience and practice areas. And we hear a number and, you know, sometimes you double gulp. And so you have to somewhat look past the near-term impact of that pain and really get into, one, is the attorney providing you an understanding of what the process is and what the impacts are? And that can come from a solo practitioner, which often is going to be lower priced, but they, in fact, do most of the work themselves because they don't have the administrative overhead. Or you get into a firm that's going to have a higher price per hour, but you have a lot of intellectual horsepower that goes behind that because they can walk down the hallway and solicit a peer, or they can look into other things that have transitioned in the law firm. So it really is contingent upon the level of expertise that the individual is looking for. And, the biggest point that I would make is when you're talking to an attorney, if there's no connection, even if it feels like, this person has had 5-star Yelp ratings, you want to stay clear because that connection and that trust is essential in the relationship.
I think it's a good idea for everybody to have an attorney for some things. Like, for example, you should have a will. We're all going to go sometime. Folks, someday you're going to be gone. And when you're gone, you want your stuff to go where you want it to go. It shouldn't be up to the state. If you don't have a will, you don't really have a say. So in addition to having a will written, what are some other good reasons that people should have an attorney?
Estate planning is at the core of it, John. Whether that's a will, whether that is understanding kind of the long term of how you want to leave your assets. There are a lot of mortgage-related or even insurance-related claims that you'd want to look into. In the insurance industry, there's circumstances where people feel that they're fully covered and yet come to find out that the actual cash value of the policy and what the depreciation value is are two completely different things. And really sorting through, when you start getting into documents that have 15 and 20 pages of terms and conditions or of illustrative examples, it's a great thing to always run it past someone who kind of uses and dabbles in that arena often. Again,
visiting today with Jasen McDaniel, Executive Director of the Jeffers, Danielson, Sohn, and Alward Law Firm. Now, again, you guys are located in Washington State. You guys have been around a while, haven't you?
Well, yeah, we've been around a good 75-plus years. We started as a insurance defense litigation firm and have kind of morphed into, today we represent a good large portion of the tree, fruit, and ag industry. And so very proud of that accomplishment and know that there are needs outside of the Washington area for those kinds of skill sets. So if it's available, certainly to you or to your listeners, we're eager to provide advice where we think or where you think we would be appropriate.
And I'm going to give the website if there's somebody that is thinking, I'd like to know more, and I like that Jasen guy. He was a nice fella. The website is jdslaw.com, which is short, of course, for Jeffers, Danielson, Sohn, and Alward. So jdslaw.com. And again, Jasen, thank you so much for taking some time to visit with us today.
Thank you so much, John, for having us.
We're glad to have you. Again, Jasen is with Jeffers, Danielson, Sohn, and Alward. The website, one more time, jdslaw.com. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by carsforsale.com. If you're in the market to buy a car, truck, or van, find thousands of vehicles to choose from at carsforsale.com.
Fun fact for you, Heidi. The
Okay.
FDA ruled that tomatoes and tomato sauce may reduce the risk of prostate cancer, and makers of foods containing them can now say that in their ads and on their labels.
Huh.
So we just heard yesterday that ketchup, when was that? Friday, Thursday, Wednesday? Last week, whatever
Friday.
it was. We heard that ketchup can actually help reduce prostate cancer. And we were joking about where you have to put the bottle to make that happen.
Right.
So again, I don't know what you do with these tomatoes, but now they can say that. Deep sea explorer Robert Sarmsat says he thinks that he's found the lost continent of Atlantis. Guess where it was?
Where?
A mile under the Mediterranean Sea between Cyprus and Syria.
Haven't several people said, hey, I found Atlantis?
Yeah,
We've heard that before.
You ever heard of Triton? It's one of Neptune's
King
moons.
Triton. Yeah.
Well, Triton and Pluto.
Oh, you're talking about something different. King Triton is the master of the water.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, Triton,
like on Little Mermaid,
I don't-
King Triton.
Okay.
And he rules the waves and
that's
stuff.
not real. But Triton, one of Neptune's moons, Triton and Pluto have such similar characteristics. Astronomers believe Pluto was once a twin moon to Triton. So now they're saying Pluto's no longer a planet. Now they say, as a matter of fact, it was one of Neptune's moons at one point. Then it broke off onto its own. Poor Pluto.
I know. It's just, for
Look what
some
shirt
reason,
I'm
they
wearing
are
today.
picking on it. I know.
I'm
You're
wearing my
your
Pluto
shirt.
shirt from Brian Regan.
Brian Regan.
He's a funny guy. He has a whole joke about how Pluto's just a big nothing, and I got the shirt to prove it. Coming up, we've got a lot of fun stuff to share. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by StoneGroupArchitects.com. It's more than a building. It's design and function working together. Check out the project portfolio at StoneGroupArchitects.com.
Thank you so much for listening to The John and Heidi Show on a Monday. This is an absolutely hilarious story, but it's only hilarious because we're not involved. If we were involved in this, I would be so irate. Completely frustrated over the inability of two opposing attorneys to agree on even the slightest details of a lawsuit, a federal judge in Tampa, Florida, has ordered them to settle their latest dispute with a game of rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. U.S. District Judge Gregory Presnell scolded lawyers for their inability to agree on a location where they can take the sworn statement of a witness in an insurance lawsuit. Presnell ordered both sides to meet in a neutral location to play a round of the hand gesture game referred to in childhood disputes as rock, paper, scissors. If they cannot agree on a neutral location, they'll plan on the steps of the federal courthouse. That's where you'll do it. The winner gets to choose the location for the witness statement. David Patano, the lead attorney for the plaintiff, said, "We're going to have to do it, I guess, so I better bone up on rock, paper, scissors rules." Of course, in true American legal fashion, if the loser disputes the game's outcome, the lawyers can appeal. Then what?
Well,
arm wrestling?
They certainly won't be friends of this judge if they try to dispute what he's doing. He's trying to make a point.
Yeah.
He's
What do you
trying
do?
to make an example
You
of
dispute that, they arm wrestle. You dispute that, then it's a good old coin flip. Then what do? This is ridiculous.
Yeah,
This is the legal system? And I understand what the judge is doing. The judge is saying,
he's making an
you
example
guys
of them.
just grow up.
Because what they're arguing
You're
over is
acting like
stupid.
children,
It's not
so
like
decide it like children.
Yeah. It's not like they're doing rock, paper, scissors to decide if the guy gets a chair or if he gets to go free. That's a little bit of a different disagreement.
For jaywalking? What? Can I be involved in the next game? All right. Coming up, we got the fashion police in the news. We'll tell you all about that on The John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by DirecTV, 1-800-259-7646. Also brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you're buying an RV or selling an RV, check out RVRealtor.com and the Dollar Shave Club. Here's John and Heidi.
You've heard of the fashion police before, right? They don't exist really, do they?
No.
That's not a real thing. That's just, people kidding around saying, oh, the fashion police, telling you how to dress and whatnot. Well, what would it take to get a police officer to arrest you for wearing a T-shirt? One Florida woman found out. A woman could be jailed for a year in the United States for wearing a T-shirt with the word sheriff on the front. Police told Kimberly Salt that she could be mistaken for a real sheriff, and the offense would carry a year in jail as impersonating an officer.
But what if it was for the band? There was a band called Sheriff in the 80s.
She bought the item at a uniform shop where she worked as a civilian jail employee for the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. She was ordered to swap shirts with the offending one taken away for evidence. The word sheriff is emblazoned across the front on a black shirt with 5-inch yellow letters, and a large badge is on the back with the words Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. You'd think the police would have better things to do than go around telling people how to dress, but apparently not, because this is not the first time. In 1998, they charged a civilian with impersonating an officer because he was wearing a hat that had LAPD on the brim of the hat, on the front of the hat. You can't wear a hat that says that. I understand where they're coming from, but it just sounds ridiculous that she was being arrested for wearing a T-shirt, but I can see where they're saying, yeah.
If the citizens in your community are that stupid that, oh boy, he had a T-shirt, so he must be an officer.
Well, but it looked like an official police T-shirt, so I get it. All right. Coming up, we're going to talk about the future from the past. We're going to talk about the 2000s from 1961 perspective on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by GunUp.com. If you're a gun lover, you'll be in heaven at GunUp.com. Built by experienced military veterans, shooting sports competitors, and publishing professionals. They have awesome stories and articles that are read by millions of gun enthusiasts. Check it out at gunup.com.
Got a really heartwarming story for you, Heidi. A former cancer nurse is now making Disney wigs out of yarn for children battling cancer. Isn't that neat?
That is neat.
Holly Christensen originally made one Disney princess wig out of some yarn for a friend's child when she was sick. The idea took off from there. Christensen says they originally had individual families contact her wanting wigs for their little girls who had just been diagnosed.
Aww.
Since then, now 4 hospitals started ordering wigs from her. They've got a GoFundMe page for them to help her cover the cost of the yarn so she can just donate this. Volunteers around the country help make them as well. They'll take on some of the workload. But what a cool thing for a little girl that is battling cancer.
Yeah.
They make these Disney wigs out of yarn, and that would be kind of a cool thing.
Aw.
So
it just breaks my heart to see little kids suffering with something like that. It's just not right.
It's terrible to see anybody go through that. But for whatever reason, there's a special, different type of, just where you really feel bad when it's just a sweet, innocent little child.
Right, exactly.
So, anyway, if you know somebody going through that, you might want to check it out. The lady's name is Holly Christensen, and I don't know if there's a website set up or not. But
yeah, or if you have the ability, find her GoFundMe page and donate. That's wonderful.
I'll do some searching and see if I can find it. If I can, I'll put it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. You can get razors sent to your door each month for just $1 plus a couple of bucks shipping. It's an amazing deal. Log on to dollarshaveclub.com/radio to learn more. That's dollarshaveclub.com/radio. Now, back to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
If you were to take a look, 50, 60 years in the future, it would be really hard to know what's going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what would you say if we look back in the past and looked at what they thought today would be like? There's an article from 1961 that predicted what it would look like today. Scientists have looked into the future. They can tell you that this is what it would look like. It says you would be whisked around on a monorail vehicle at 200 miles an hour while you think of nothing, taking a fortnight holiday in outer space. That's where they thought we'd be by now. Your house will have air walls and a floating roof adjustable to the angle of the sun. That didn't happen, did it? Do we have those?
No.
Doors will open automatically and clothing will be put away by a remote control. Your heating and cooling system will be built into the furniture and the rugs. I like this idea, but I've not seen those.
We have doors that open automatically.
And I've seen floors that are heated but not rugs. That's a good idea. You'll have a home control, an electronic center where your messages will be recorded when you're away from home. They'll play back when you return and give you up-to-the-minute world news and transcribe your latest mail. That's actually close to what we have on the Internet. Mm-hmm. You will have wall-to-wall global TV, indoor swimming pools, telephones with TVs attached, room-to-room TVs, and you can press a button and change the decor of your entire room. So none of that.
We have all of that
really,
except for the room-to-room.
Yeah.
Changing your room with a push of a button. Everything else is...
Again, this is all from 1961, what they thought we would look like. The status symbol of the year 2000 would be a home computer help, in which with which mother tends the children, cooks the meals, and issues reminders of appointments, all on a computer. So that's actually something that did happen. Cooking will be in solar ovens with microwave controls.
Yeah.
You got the microwave part right. Garbage will be refrigerated and pressed into fertilizer pellets. That would have been a cool idea, too. Mm-hmm. Food won't be much different from 1961, but there will be a few new dishes. Instant bread, sugar made from sawdust, foodless foods, minus nutritional properties. I think we have that, don't we?
Yeah.
Juice powders and synthetic tea and cocoa. Energy will come in tablet form. Yeah. Some of that actually did happen.
Yeah.
All right, a couple others on here. I don't know if we're going to get to all of these. At work, Dad will operate on a 24-hour work week. That didn't happen.
Depends on which family you're talking to. It happened in ours.
No, that's a 24-hour work day. This says 24-hour work week.
Oh, well, no. Good Lord, that would be awesome.
Would be air-conditioned with stimulating scents and extra oxygen to give Dad a physical and psychological lift. Anyway, there's more to it. I'm going to just share this whole thing on our Facebook page because I can't share it all here, but it is funny. Facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by DirecTV. Call 1-800-259-7646. They have hundreds of channels to choose from, with many packages to fit your viewing desires. Learn more at 1-800-259-7646.
And as we end the program here, I always like to find something fun to talk about and some positive news. And I think this is pretty darn positive news. According to ABC News, U.S. Army veteran Alan Thomas has been searching for his twin children for half a century, and his search is over. Thomas had been looking for his twins, a son and a daughter, ever since he had to leave them behind with their birth mother in South Korea over 40 years ago. Thomas said their birth mother later put them up for adoption without his knowledge. Even though they were adopted by American parents, their records were sealed, and Thomas couldn't get any additional info. It wasn't until the news program 2020 offered to help him find his twins that he was able to make some progress. After months on the case, Thomas was recently reunited with his daughter and his son for the first time in more than 40 years.
Wow.
How cool is that?
That is very cool.
So big thank you to ABC News and the program 2020 for making that happen. Again, U.S. Army veteran Alan Thomas found his kiddos after 40 years. That is absolutely amazing.
That's cool.
I like stories like that.
Me too.
And I always try to end the program with something positive because during the course of this program, we talk about a lot of knuckleheads, don't we?
Yes.
I mean, we do. We talk about people who do some really dumb things. And it's not that I'm trying to be negative, but it makes for really fun radio. So, but I always say, hey, we got to redeem ourselves here. At least this one break. We got to have something positive all the time, every time. So we always try to end it with that. And that's a fun story to end things with. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining us on a Monday edition of the John and Heidi Show.
Time now for the bonus break, only available here on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
And your bonus break is brought to you by the Dollar Shave Club. You can learn more on their website, which I'll give you in a moment, but let me tell you why you want to go there. You want to go there if you like to save money. You want to go there if you like to save time. You want to go there if you ever have to shave. I mean, ever. Whether you're shaving your face every day, or if you're shaving your legs or your arms or wherever ladies shave, your lady places, wherever you're shaving, this is for everybody. It's not just for dudes.
Places.
I mean, you can shave your lady places with these razors too. All you got to do is check out the website, dollarshaveclub.com/radio. Got the top 10 kitchen plaque sayings, Heidi. We've got some old plaques in our kitchen, don't we?
We have
Most
some great
of them
ones.
say something about wine,
Yes,
don't
they do.
These are pretty darn funny. Number 10, a balanced diet is a cookie in each hand.
I agree with that.
Number 9, a clean house is a sign of a misspent life.
I agree with that.
Number 8, a husband is somebody who takes out the trash and gives the impression he just cleaned the whole house.
That's for sure true.
Every Tuesday I take out the trash. I'm like, oh, just cleaned up took out the trash. Got garbage from every can. I mean, I'm done for a week. I'm spent. Number 7, a messy kitchen is a happy kitchen, and this kitchen is delirious.
Oh, no, I can't stand a messy kitchen.
Help keep the kitchen clean. Eat out.
That I like.
Another top 10 kitchen plaque. Housework done properly can kill you. Number 4, if we are what we eat, I am easy, fast, and cheap. Number 3, my next house will have no kitchen, just vending machines. Number 2 on the list of top 10 kitchen plaque sayings, no husband has ever been shot while doing the dishes.
That's true.
And the last one, number 1 on the list of the top 10 kitchen plaque sayings, thou shalt not weigh more than thy refrigerator.
That's a nice goal. I think that's a goal I have attained.
How much does our refrigerator weigh?
Quite a bit.
I have to find out what I think that's in the manual maybe.
Probably.
See what my goal is.
Pretty sure it weighs more than you, so
All
you're
right. I
you're
hope so.
safe.
Got a couple stories I'm going to share if we got time here. When running away from the cops, never run to a place you cannot escape them. Twin Falls, Idaho, there's a story about a couple of teen girls who were caught shoplifting. The girls ran out of the store and led them to a merry little chase, by the way, finally climbing to the edge of a 600-foot canyon where they got stuck with nowhere to go. Responding to their cries for help, guess who offered to help?
Who?
The police officers.
Okay.
They rescued them and then arrested them. So there you go. Good plan, girls. All right, Heidi, I got a couple other fun stories to share before we go. A young robber on a bicycle held up a Taco Bell at the drive-thru window. That doesn't sound like a good plan, does it?
Right. Not at all.
Well, he pulled up to the drive-thru window, and he waved around a gun and said, I want some money,
Gosh.
and I want a gun. No, I don't want a gun. I want some money. No, I want some money, and I want a chalupa. That's what he wanted. Taco Bell workers called police. He was waiting for the food. He got the money already.
Oh, my gosh.
But he was waiting for his chalupa when the cops got there. The teenager took off on his bicycle. He kept riding, even after he got shot in the arm and the leg. He was shot over a chalupa and some money from Taco Bell.
$35 cash.
He dismounted his bicycle and surrendered when a second cruiser cut him off. The gun turned out to be a toy. He never did get his chalupa. So he would have been better off just taking his money and going, I think. How much could they possibly have in the till at Taco Bell?
Not much.
Who still pays
Everybody
with
uses
money?
their debit cards.
I know. Like, this guy probably got away with nothing.
Wow.
Anyway, if you ever wondered if those Crime Stopper phone lines work, well, Kelly Don Doyle can tell you that. He says, yes, they absolutely work. He saw a local Crime Stoppers tip. They were asking for information on a robbery in Norman, Oklahoma. And he thought, hey, I know a little something about that. I'm the guy that robbed the place. But he decided, I'm going to pin this on some people I don't like. So he called the tip line, gave them all kinds of information, and said, I know who did it. These two teenagers did it. Well, they found out the teenagers didn't do it, but they're going, wait a minute, this Kelly Don Doyle guy knew quite a bit about this. So they went to check on him, and they found a whole bunch of stolen merchandise.
Wow.
And he says, and I quote, does this mean I don't get the reward? Yes, Kelly Don Doyle.
That's exactly what it means.
That's what it means. You don't get the reward.
Oh, my.
All right. That's going to do it for our bonus break. It's brought to you by the Dollar Shave Club. You can learn more and save money and save time. All you got to do, check out their website, and that'll do the rest. You go there, and they're going to sell you on it because it's such a great idea. DollarShaveClub.com/radio.